A little while ago, I mentioned that I play Dead by Daylight in my spare time and that I'd love to get around to streaming it sometime here on the channel, and I'd still like to do that. I'm just trying to figure out where to find the time to do that with everything that's going on, but I got around to playing the new Chaos Shuffle mode this past weekend, and I'll append a bonus clip recording that I took at the end of this video. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to follow up on the last video I posted, which was the reveal of the poster version Godzilla 1954 from SH MonsterArts. In that video, I mentioned that from the Japanese price, the yen amount, was 50% larger than the original 1954 mold back in, I think it was 2016. You know, that's clearly an issue, even though it's funny, somebody commented saying, you know, well, once you convert it, it's only $10 more than the original issue. And that is absolutely correct, and simultaneously not at all the point of that video. So I started talking about it with Michael over at the Articulation series, and we were talking about how the yen is actually at a really historic low. It's actually at its lowest point in about 34 years. So as the yen's value when compared to the US dollar is decreasing, you're seeing the Japanese price increase as much as 50%, while there not really being that same kind of increase on the US side. And the problem with this is that when Bandai brings these over from Japan to sell domestically, they're not selling them at a converted rate. They are selling them at a new rate where they're basically just moving the decimal point over and making that the US retail price. So let's talk a little bit about why the collapse of the Japanese yen is starting to impact the price of the goods that we're seeing coming out of Japan, but also why this collapse is happening in the first place. As the Japanese yen weakens, it also reduces their buying power to get their products manufactured in China. There was an interview that Brian did with Veebs a long time ago. At this point, I don't even remember which interview it was, but he was saying how the factories in China, when they're dealing with US customers, they charge the US customers in US dollar. They don't charge them in Chinese yuan, which means that even if there is a point where the Chinese yuan is weak to the US dollar, it doesn't matter to the factories because they're charging in whichever currency reigns supreme. And what this means is that if the Chinese yuan is superior to the Japanese yen, the factories are going to charge in yuan. They're not going to charge in yen. Now, just how weak is the Japanese yen to the Chinese yuan? Well, looking at the difference from about 2018, 2019, it's lost about 50% of its buying power. So when we're saying that the 1954 poster version is 50% more than the original issue of that mold, you can kind of see where that manufacturing cost is being passed along to the Japanese customer. Not so much the domestic customer here in North America. So there are a couple of things that are contributing to the collapse of the Japanese yen. One factor is that when a currency starts to go down in value, people bail out basically. And so it's almost like when a stock starts to go downhill, people get out of the stock, they start selling off what they have, and it contributes to a decreased value in the stock. It becomes a little bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy. So that's one factor to the collapse of the yen is that when the yen gets weaker, people bail out, right? They sell off their currency. Another factor is that when the yen is weak, you don't have people converting their foreign investments back into the yen, right? Like if I'm a Japanese citizen with US investments, the US dollar is very strong compared to the yen right now. And so I'm not going to convert it back into the yen and lose it's something like 60% of its value at this point. I'm going to keep my things abroad and overseas so that when the yen does get stronger, I can then convert it back. So you have people bailing out of the yen as their preferred currency, and then you have people holding their investments in foreign currency and keeping their money out of the Japanese economy. Now, another reason for this is that the Bank of Japan has been keeping their interest rates relatively low to incentivize people to take out more loans, to use them for businesses, for whatever, to for people to make investments into the economy. And we saw this a lot, at least here in Canada, probably throughout the rest of North America as well. When the pandemic happened, we had a historic low in interest rates when it came to mortgages, and so people were buying houses for $200,000-$300,000 over asking price, and quite honestly probably $200,000-$300,000 over what the worth of the house was. And they were doing this because interest rates were so low. There was this idea that you weren't paying an excessive amount of money to the banks, and so you could afford to pay a little bit more for that house. And so the Bank of Japan took a similar wager. They thought if we keep the interest rates low, then people will want to borrow more money to do the things that they want to do and to grow the economy. But because of this, the value of the yen was also decreasing at a rate that was not proportionate to the, increased investments into the economy, you could say. So the Bank of Japan is going to have to make a call. I think it's later this year in October to raise their interest rates. And in doing so, we might start to see an uptick in the strength of the yen and in its conversion rates. And so, at this time, it's probably the best time to be an importer if you're over here in North America, or really, I guess, anywhere else in the world. Japan is relying on people to import their goods, and they're also relying on tourists to come and bring their foreign money into the economy. I read something, I'm looking at this article from The Guardian to sort of get my facts straight here. In February 2024, they recorded a record high number of tourists, which is good for the Japanese economy. But the current state of affairs with the value of the yen, what you're seeing is that while it's good for us to be importing Japanese goods, it really sucks to be a Japanese person that is trying to import things like food. I think that energy is also a big import in Japan. So what does this mean for you, someone who imports and purchases Japanese collectibles? It means that for the next little while, things are going to be pretty good. I mentioned before that importing the new Godzilla 1954 is actually more affordable than waiting for the domestic release because the Canadian dollar is so weak. And I think even in the US, without that conversion rate, if you get a really good deal on your shipping, it's still cheaper than waiting for a domestic release. You can expect this trend to continue through to at least October, at which point the Bank of Japan is going to make a call whether or not they're going to increase their interest rates. And then you might start to see an uptick in the value of the yen, and you might start to see importing becoming a little bit less affordable, and with time, probably less and less and less affordable. But as this happens, as the yen starts to recover at some point in the future, the hope is that we can expect the prices to resemble something a little bit more reasonable and more in line with a direct conversion rather than just a movement of the decimal place. So since Japan is relying really heavily on tourists right now, are you interested in visiting Japan? I got to go a couple of years ago as part of a graduate course, and we got to go to the Fukushima site where the reactor exploded, which was really, really cool to see. And Japan was one of my favorite trips of all time. It was amazing. I can't wait to go back sometime with my family. Are you interested in visiting Japan? Why don't you let me know in the comment section down below. Thank you to all of the Category 3 channel members for their continued support, as well as everyone else that watches, likes, and comments. Your support is very much appreciated. Social links are in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and if you want to see that DVD clip, here it is.
I need a stream title, help.
What are you streaming?
Mario. The Red Italian Plumber.
Happy Memorial Day.
No. That's so bad that I love it. Happy that would be for tomorrow anyway. Mario Memorial Day.
Happy Memorial Weekend.
That's so bad. Holy fuck. That's like the fact that I'm saying that's bad is the worst fucking thing. Holy. Like I've done stuff that's like an inch removed from that, and that is bad. Holy fuck. And now I just have a really tough level with Bowser. Oh, it's a Wraith, and I have been trapped. Okay, thanks for buying the extra time, buddy.
I got a leader.
I've got dramaturgy.
I am not doing well here. I should not have done this. I should have... What did I get? Reassurance.
Reassurance is goated.
Guess what I got? Deliverance. I love how it was the last perk I saw, too.
I'm touching you with the medkit this time.
Thank you. Do I have an option to even use
Chasing
Deliverance
me
now
in
that
the
I've been
main.
No, right? I can't.
Or,
use
I think he might be going for the unhook, guys.
Okay.
Yeah, he's here. He's here.
I have a perk called Wicked, which lets me unhook myself from the basement for free.
That's pretty good.
So I'm gonna try to stick here.
Oh, I thought that one was done.
Oh shit. Yes, hook me in the basement. Hook me in the basement. You won't do it. You won't do it. Come on. Yes, he's doing it. Okay, nobody come for me. All right.
Yeah, don't.
That's
Go.
the rule.
He's on me. I'm gonna die before I can use these great skill checks. This is gonna kill me. Fuck, idiot. If you've got it, go to an exit gate.
Fucker's gonna have no ed. I bet you $1 million.
No. Get to a door. She's in chase.
I'm halfway through.
Get to a door. Yo, she's got him at cow tree.
I'm just gonna leave. Maybe guess she gets hatched.
She's lipping him cow tree. This guy sucks. If she had juice in that flashlight, could use it to save me, bro. Take the hit and run forward. Oh,
I fucking called it!
So wait, he couldn't even win the loop with no ed? That's insane. All he needs